The helicopter blades cut through pre-dawn silence. Below, the city of Harrisburg spreads like a wound. Smoke trails, scattered fires, sections of the perimeter wall collapsed inward. The radio crackles with evacuation codes, containment teams redirecting, and one word repeating, overwhelmed. I check my rifle for the third time. 10 years since the outbreak began in 2024. 10 years since my first night as a cop in Lancaster turned into something else entirely. The pre-drop routine never changes. Magazine seated, safety off, breathing steady. My fingers brush against the old police badge in my tactical vest pocket. Lancaster PD, Officer Adams. I keep it there, not for nostalgia, to remember what broke that night and what I couldn't fix. Across from me, Andres and Dumont run their own checks, faces blank under helmet visors. We've done 17 extractions together, lost count of the breaches we've contained. This one feels different. Containment teams redirecting the sectors 4 and 7. The pilot calls back. Multiple breaches confirmed. Perimeters folding faster than projected. You're solo on the lab run. Andres glances at me. I nod. We've gone in lighter before. The mission brief was clear. Retrieve research data. Extract survivors if possible. Priority 1, the infection studies. Whatever they discovered in that facility might help prevent the next Harrisburg. Might keep another city from joining the list of places we couldn't hold. The city rises to meet us. Office buildings with shattered windows lean against each other like drunks. Residential blocks sit dark and silent, their evacuation complete or abandoned. Main streets choke with vehicles left in panic. Doors hanging open, belongings scattered across asphalt. I can see the medical district ahead, the research facility, a gray cube surrounded by security fencing that once meant something. Part of the fence leans inward now, chain link twisted and pulled down by weight and pressure.
30 seconds, the pilot announces. Wind's picking up from the north. Smoke's gonna get worse. The rotor wash stirs ash and debris as we descend, creating small cyclones of gray particulate. I catch the smell before we touch down. Burning rubber, something chemical underneath. Not the usual decay we encounter in dead zones. Something else, burning plastic, maybe electronics. The helicopter settles onto cracked asphalt in what used to be a hospital parking lot. Emergency vehicles sit at odd angles, doors hanging open. Equipment spilled across the ground. An ambulance rests on deflated tires. Back doors swinging in the rotor wash. My boots hit ground. Glass crunches underfoot. A sound that carries too far in the morning. Quiet. The others fan out immediately, weapons up, scanning windows and doorways with practiced efficiency. The copper sweet smell hits stronger now, mixing with the chemical smoke drifting from the north. Fresh blood, recent kills. The kind of smell that means people died here within the last 12 hours. Clear, Duant signals, his voice low and controlled. Moving, I reply. The helicopter lifts immediately. Rotor wash flattening the weeds growing through pavement cracks. Standard procedure, stay mobile, don't present a static target, maintain altitude for overwatch. They'll orbit at a safe distance and wait for our extraction call. 3 hours, maybe 4 if we're lucky. After that, fuel becomes an issue and they'll have to break off. 3 blocks to the facility. I've studied the route on satellite images, memorized the turns and choke points. On paper, it's a clean run. Straight shot down Medical Center Drive. Hook left at the intersection, facility entrance on the right. But paper doesn't account for what moves in the spaces between buildings. Doesn't show you where they gather in the dark, waiting for sound or movement to draw them out. We take the street faster than cutting through structures.
Better sight lines, fewer corners to clear. The morning light just starting to gray the eastern sky. Enough to see by without night vision, but not enough to eliminate shadows. Andres takes point, moving with the kind of economy that comes from doing this too many times. Dumont covers rear, walking backwards in controlled steps, weapons squeaking our 6. I scan second-floor windows and alley miles, looking for the telltale signs. Broken glass, disturbed curtains, movement against static backgrounds.
The silence bothers me more than it should. Even in dead zones, there's ambient noise. Wind through broken windows, settling debris, birds picking through garbage. Here, nothing. Like the whole district is holding its breath, waiting. One block, a pharmacy on the corner, front window smashed out, shelves visible inside picked clean. Someone looted this place thoroughly. Good, means people got out with supplies.
Means some of them might have made it to the evacuation points before the perimeter collapsed. 2 blocks. The research facility visible now. Razor wire topping its perimeter fence. Security cameras on poles pointing at nothing. Front gate twisted open. Metal bent inward where something heavy pushed through. Security booth empty. Door hanging loose on its hinges. Movement protocols should have sealed this place days ago when the perimeter first showed stress. Someone waited too long. Someone always waits too long. Contact, Andreas says quietly. Parking structure, ground level, multiple. I see them. 3 figures near the entrance ramp, moving in that distinctive pattern. Uneven gait, heads tracking towards sound or scent or whatever primitive sense drives them now. One totters forward with arms bent at angles that make my shoulder ache in sympathy. Elbows hyperextended, wrists twisted, fingers curled into claws.
Another drags its left leg, the foot turned completely backwards, creating a scraping rhythm against concrete with each step. The third stands near a support pillar, jaw slack and trembling, teeth clicking out a rhythm like a broken metronome. They haven't noticed us yet. Winds in our favor, blowing from them toward us, carrying their smell, rot and fermentation, and something underneath like spoiled meat left in summer heat. Suppressed, I signal. Wait for the turn. We close the distance carefully, boots finding quiet purchase on asphalt. 30 meters, 20. The one by the pillar turns first, some instinct pulling its attention our direction. Eyes clouded but tracking movement. That terrible focus they have when they lock on to prey. Its mouth works, producing a wet rasp that echoes off concrete. I fire. Center mass, double tap. It drops, knees buckling, face hitting concrete with a sound like dropped fruit. Andres and Dumont take the other 2 in rapid succession, professional and clean. No wasted ammunition. The sound of suppressed shots is loud enough in the morning. Quiet. Sharp cracks that bounce between buildings, but it won't carry far. Not like screaming would, not like panic. We approach carefully. Never assume they're done. Never assume one shot is enough. All 3 down and still. No breathing, no twitching. Fresh kills. They turned recently, within the last day or 2. The decay hasn't set in deep yet. Skin still has color under the gray pallor. I see a wedding ring on one, a hospital badge clipped to another's belt. Details I don't need, don't want. They were people once, with names and jobs and lives that meant something. Now they're just threats neutralized. Keep moving, I say. Past the parking structure, we find the first of the bodies. A woman in civilian clothes sprawled near an overturned sedan. Gunshot to the head, close range. Powder burns visible around the wound. Evacuation got messy. People panicked. Maybe she was bit. Maybe someone thought she was. Maybe she just moved wrong into chaos and someone made a call. Either way, she didn't make it out. There are 4 more between here and the facility gate. All shot, all recent. The last one still has the evacuation wristband on. Orange tag, priority medical personnel. Someone who should have been first out, should have had protection. The mathematics of collapse don't care about should. The facility entrance stands partially open. Security door jammed in its track. Emergency power still running. I can hear the generator humming from somewhere deep inside. That steady diesel rhythm. Red emergency lighting visible through the gap, painting everything the color of old blood. The kind of light that makes depth perception tricky. Shadows deeper than they should be. Andreas moves to the door, tests it with one hand while keeping his weapon up. The hydraulic system hisses. Door shuddering but not moving, jammed good. Dumont produces a pry bar from his pack. Standard equipment for facility breaches.
Between the two of them, they force it wide enough for entry. Metal grinding against metal, the sound carrying into the darkness inside. Stale air escapes, cool and chemical sharp. Antiseptic mixed with something else. The emergency lighting flickers, casting shadows that jump and stretch across the entrance hall like living things. Reception desk overturned. Computer monitor face down on the tile. Keyboard dangling by its cord. Papers scattered everywhere. Incident reports, visitor logs. Someone's lunch order still clipped to a board. Coffee cup on its side near the desk. Brown liquid dried in a trail across white tile. They left in a hurry. Blood trail leads from the elevator bank toward the rear emergency exit. Not splatter, drag marks. Someone crawled. The trail ends at the exit door, which hangs open to morning light and the sound of distant gunfire. Containment team still working the perimeter. Whatever crawled that far made it outside.
Whether they survived after that is someone else's problem. Sub-level access, Dumont says, pointing to a stairwell door marked Authorized Personnel Only. The facility blueprints show 3 underground levels: storage on Sub 1, research labs on Sub 2, and containment on Sub 3. Our target is Level 2, where the infection studies were being conducted. If there's data worth saving, it'll be there. If there are survivors, same place. The researchers would have headed down when the facility went into lockdown, sealed themselves in the most secure section, waited for extraction. That came too late. I approached the stairwell door. It's closed but unlocked. Power failure must have released the magnetic seals. I ease it open, weapon up, and peer into darkness below. Emergency lighting extends down the first flight of stairs. Red bulbs every 3 meters, then fades to black at the landing.
The air coming up smells different, cooler, damper, with an undertone of ozone, like after a lightning strike. Something moves in that darkness, not the stumbling, uneven scrape we cleared outside. This is different, faster. A footfall, deliberate and controlled, echoing up from the sublevels, then silence. Then another footfall, measured, like someone pacing. I freeze, listen. Andre and Dumont move up behind me, weapons trained downward into the stairwell. My hand finds the badge in my vest pocket again. That night in Lancaster, I went down into the station basement looking for the circuit breaker, found something else. Found out what it meant when the world stopped making sense. The sound comes again, a footfall, deliberate and controlled, echoing up from somewhere below. Then silence. Not the silence of nothing, the silence of something waiting, something listening. Could be a survivor, Andre whispers. Could be, I reply. But survivors don't usually move toward sound. They hide from it, wait for rescue, call out for help when they hear boots on tile and tactical gear rattling. They don't pace in the dark like they're guarding something. Whatever is down there in the sub-levels just heard us open the door, and it's waiting to see what we'll do next. We descend into the stairwell with tactical lights cutting through darkness. 3 beams sweeping the angles below. The emergency lighting ends after the first landing, leaving us in near total black. My light catches concrete walls, metal handrails, and the occasional smear of something dark that could be blood or chemical residue. Hard to tell in red and white strobing. The temperature drops with each step. Sub-level environments always run cold. Something about the concrete and earth insulation. The way air settles in spaces without circulation. My breath fogs slightly behind me. Andrus keeps his light trained on our 6, covering the entrance we came through. Dumont stays tight on my left shoulder. Weapon tracking where his eyes go. The footfalls we heard have stopped. Whatever made them either moved deeper into the facility or went still. Neither option gives me comfort. Sublevel 1 opens into a storage area. Metal shelving units loaded with supplies. Cardboard boxes stacked against walls. The kind of bulk storage any research facility needs. Medical supplies mostly. Boxes labeled with pharmaceutical names I don't recognize. IV bags in sealed packages. Surgical equipment still in sterile wrap. All of it useless now. Can't evacuate cargo when you're running for your life. We move through quickly, clearing corners and checking behind shelving units. Nothing. No bodies, no signs of struggle, no infected. Just abandoned supplies in the hum of ventilation systems still running on backup power. The air tastes stale, but not foul. No decay smell. Not yet. The access corridor to sub requires a key card. The reader blinks red, unpowered or disabled. Dumont examines it, then points to a manual override panel beside the door. He pops the cover with a knife blade, revealing a mechanical release. 3 turns counterclockwise, and the door's magnetic seal releases with a pneumatic hiss. Cold air rushes out, colder than Subble 1, carrying the smell of antiseptic and something underneath. Not decay exactly, but biological. The smell of a hospital mixed with a laboratory. Clinical and wrong at the same time. We enter Subble 2. The corridor extends 30 meters ahead, lined with doors on both sides. Laboratories, observation rooms, equipment storage. Emergency lighting here is more frequent every 2 meters, but half the bulbs have failed. The ones still working create pools of red light with darkness between them. Our tactical lights sweep through shadows catching details. Equipment carts overturned, paper scattered across the floor, a wheeled office chair lying on its side in the middle of the corridor, and blood. More of it now. Splatter patterns on the walls at chest height, drag marks leading to closed doors, handprints smeared across observation windows, the kind of evidence that tells a story if you know how to read it. People ran, people fell, people didn't get back up. Clear left, Andre says quietly, checking the first laboratory. Clear right, Dumont confirms. We move down the corridor in formation, clearing rooms as we go. Most are empty, workstations abandoned mid-task, microscopes still powered on, computer screens dark or showing error messages. In one lab, I find a half-eaten sandwich on a desk, bread dried out, but not moldy yet. Someone left in a hurry, didn't finish lunch, never came back. In another room, the evidence gets worse. Overturned furniture, broken glass, and a heavy blood trail leading to a storage closet. The closet door is closed. I approach it carefully, weapon up, and listen. Nothing. I pull the door open fast, light and barrel tracking together. A body inside, male, maybe 40, wearing a lab coat now soaked dark with dried blood. Throat torn out, eyes open and clouded. Dead maybe 2 days. He didn't turn, or someone put him down before he could. The weapon that did it, a fire extinguisher, lies beside him, dented and streaked with blood and other matter. I close the door, mark it mentally. Not our problem now. Adams, Dumont calls from down the corridor, found something. I move to his position. He's standing outside a room marked Observation 2C. The door is intact, but the observation window shows the interior, and it's been fortified. Furniture stacked against the interior door, equipment pushed into corners, papers taped over parts of the window to limit visibility from outside and movement inside. Someone living. I approach the window carefully, keeping to the side. Tap the glass twice with my knuckle. The international signal, friendly, human, not a threat. Movement inside intensifies. The furniture shifts slightly. Then a face appears at the uncovered section of window. Male, 30s, unshaven, eyes tracking us with desperate intensity. Military uniform, tactical vest, rifle visible in his hands. He studies us for a long moment, then reaches up and pulls down one of the papers blocking the window. He mouths something, can't hear through the reinforced glass. He tries the door handle from his side, locked or jammed, points to the corridor, then makes a circular motion with his hand. Another way in. Dumont finds the access panel for the observation room, a secondary door marked Emergency Access. It's locked, but the mechanism is mechanical, not electronic. He works the lock with a tension wrench and pick from his kit, hand steady despite the urgency. 30 seconds. The lock clicks. The door opens inward. The man inside keeps his rifle lowered but ready, finger outside the trigger guard. Professional trained.
He scans all three of us, taking in our gear, our posture, our weapons, calculating whether we're real or another hallucination born from 3 days alone in the dark. Federal response, he asks. His voice is hoarse, dry from dehydration. Specialized extraction team, I reply. How long you been here? 3 days since the breach. He lowers his rifle completely now, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. Perimeter failed on the north side. Infected got into the residential district first, then medical. By the time evacuation orders came through, it was already too late for most of the facility staff. Research data? I ask. His expression darkens. Destroyed. Researchers smashed the servers before they tried to evacuate. Protocol. If containment fails, eliminate all data to prevent it falling into unauthorized hands. He gestures toward the corridor. They're dead now. Most of them. Anyway, the ones who made it to the emergency exit got cut down by infected in the parking lot. You saw it happen. Heard it. I was already locked down here. Heard the shooting, the screaming, then nothing. He moves to a small pack near the window, pulls out an empty water bottle. Been rationing what I had, ran out yesterday. Dumont hands him a fresh bottle from his kit. The man drinks carefully, controlled sips despite obvious thirst. Military discipline. He knows better than to chug it and risk getting sick. You were security? I ask. Recon assigned to the facility for the study. He wipes his mouth. They were analyzing infection vectors, trying to understand how it spread so fast. Needed military oversight for the containment protocols. The infected down here, Andre says, you've seen them, heard them mostly. They're in the lower levels, sub-3, the containment section. Something must have failed during the evacuation. The seals, the doors, something. I hear them moving around down there at night, more active when it's dark. Even down here where there's no natural light, like they can sense it somehow. That tracks with what we know. The infected are more active at night, more aggressive. During the day, they tend to cluster in dark spaces, parking garages, building interiors, anywhere light doesn't reach. At night, they hunt. Any other survivors? I ask. He shakes his head. If there were, they're not anymore. I did a sweep of this level when I first locked down. Found 4 bodies, all turned or killed before they could. I'm the only one left. Then we extract now, I say. Grab what you can carry. We're wheels up in 15. He shoulders his pack, checks his rifle. Movement's automatic and efficient. But something in his posture stops me. The way he holds himself, the tattoo visible on his forearm when his sleeve rides up. Scope crosshair. Faded but unmistakable. Before I can process it, the lights flicker once, twice, then hold steady. But in that moment of darkness, I hear it. Distant but distinct. The sound of footfalls on concrete. Multiple sets. Uneven rhythm coming from the direction of the sub-3 access. Contact. Dumont says quietly. Stairwell. We move to the corridor. Weapons up. The sound grows louder. Not running. Not the desperate sprint of someone fleeing. The steady, stumbling advance of something that doesn't tire. Something that doesn't stop. The first one appears at the far end of the corridor, lurching around the corner from the stairwell access. It moves with arms stiff at his sides, head tilted at an angle like a question, face pale and slack, mouth hanging open. Behind it, 2 more, then 3. Then I lose count as they pile into the corridor, drawn by our lights or our sound or the simple fact that we're here and alive, and they are not. Suppressed won't cut it. Andre says, too many. Controlled fire, I reply. Make every shot count. The survivor moves up beside me, rifle coming to his shoulder with practiced ease. Which way out? Way we came in, I say, through sub-level 1 up to ground floor. Stay tight. The first infected reaches the midpoint of the corridor. Close enough now to see details. Fingers bent at wrong angles. Left leg dragging behind, creating that scraping sound against tile. Its eyes are rolled back, showing mostly white, but tracking us somehow. Some sense beyond sight.
A fire. Headshot. It drops. The one behind it stumbles over the body, pitching forward onto its hands and knees. Dumont puts 2 rounds in its skull before it can rise. The others keep coming, funneling into the corridor like water through a pipe. Feet shuffling and scraping, producing that collective wet rasp that means too many in too small a space. Moving, I call. We back toward the emergency access door, maintaining firing positions. The survivor moves with us, his shots precise and measured. Every trigger pull results in a dropped threat. No wasted ammunition, no panic. He's done this before. The corridor fills with bodies. Some we drop, some trip over the ones already down. But more keep coming from the stairwell, drawn by the sound of gunfire, by movement, by whatever primitive instinct drives them toward the living. "Magazine!" Andreas calls out, dropping his empty and slamming a fresh one home. I count rounds mentally. 2 magazines left, maybe 60 rounds between the 4 of us. The infected keep coming. 15, 20, more appearing from the stairwell like a grotesque assembly line. They stumble over corpses, pitch forward onto hands that barely catch their weight. Rise again with that terrible persistence. No fear, no pain, just forward momentum and hunger. One breaks from the pack faster than the others. It lurches sideways, using the wall for balance, closing distance at nearly running speed. Fresh turn, maybe hours old. Still has muscle memory, coordination the older ones have lost. Its hands claw at the air with each stride, fingers hooked like talons. "Fast one," Dumont warns. I track it, lead the shot, squeeze. The round catches it in the temple. It spins, crashes into the wall, slides down, leaving a dark smear. But 3 more have taken its place, moving through the gap it created. The mathematics are wrong. We can't kill them faster than they arrive. "Flashbang," the survivor says, pulling one from his vest. "On my mark, close your eyes." He pulls the pin, counts 2 seconds, throws. The canister bounces once, twice, lands in the center of the infected mass. Now I squeeze my eyes shut, turn away. Even through closed lids, the flash is bright enough to leave after images. The bang in the enclosed corridor is deafening. A physical pressure against my eardrums that makes my teeth ache. I open my eyes. The infected have stopped, disoriented by the blast. Some stand frozen, heads turning in confused circles. Others have fallen, balance systems overwhelmed. The ones in front claw at their own faces. Some primitive reaction to sensory overload. "Move," I shout. We reach the emergency access door. Andres and Dant go through first, covering the corridor. The survivor follows. I take rear guard, putting 3 more rounds into the mass of infected, now recovering from the flashbang, less than 10 meters away and closing again. One staggers forward with its jaw hanging loose, connected only by strips of tissue, producing a gurgling rasp. I put it down. Then I'm through the door, pulling it closed behind me. The door has no lock from this side. Won't hold long already. I can hear them hitting it, bodies slamming against metal with dull thuds. The door shudders in its frame. "Subble 1, I say, move. They'll breach that in 30 seconds. We sprint now, tactical discipline giving way to speed. The storage area passes in a blur. Shelving units, supply boxes, the hum of ventilation systems. Behind us, the door crashes open. The sound of bodies pouring through. They're slower than us, but relentless. They don't stop for breath, don't stop for exhaustion, don't stop at all. The stairwell to ground level rises ahead. We take the steps 3 at a time, boots pounding concrete, the sound echoing above and below. Emergency lighting flickers past, red bulbs creating a strobing effect that distorts depth perception. I nearly miss a step, catch myself on the handrail, keep climbing. Ground floor entrance hall opens before us. Overturned desk, scattered papers, morning light through the jammed security door, freedom 20 meters away. Something moves in the entrance hall, not from behind us, from the side corridors. 3 more infected, drawn by the sound of our ascent, now stumbling into our path. One hobbles on a leg that bends wrong mid-step, knee buckling with each stride. Another's face twitches in rhythmic spasms, jaw clicking like a door on broken hinges. The third drags both arms, shoulders dislocated or broken, hands scraping tile as it advances. "Push through," I order. We hit them at a run. Andreas drops the first with a point-blank shot. I take the second muzzle flash, brighten the dim hall. The survivor puts down the third without breaking stride. Then we're at the security door, squeezing through the gap, emerging into morning light that seems impossibly bright after the darkness below. The radio crackles. "Extraction team, this is Overwatch. Multiple contacts converging on your position from the north. Advise immediate evacuation." "Copy that," I respond. "Inbound to LZ now. 4 for pickup." We run across the parking lot, past the abandoned ambulance, past the emergency vehicles with their doors hanging open. The helicopter appears over the hospital building, nose dipping as it descends toward us. Rotor wash hits like a physical force, stirring debris and ash into small cyclones. Behind us, infected pour from the facility entrance. A dozen, 2 dozen more emerging from nearby structures, drawn by the sound of rotors and gunfire. The city's given up its dead. All the failures of the evacuation now shambling into morning light. The helicopter touches down. We cover the last 20 meters at a full sprint. Boots hitting the skid, hands grabbing onto anything solid. I'm last in, turning the provide covering fire as Andres and Don haul the survivor aboard. The pilot doesn't wait for confirmation. The moment we're all in, the bird lifts, nose dipping forward, gaining altitude and speed. Below the infected cluster where we stood seconds ago, heads tilting up to track our departure. More pour from buildings and structures, hundreds of them now visible in the morning light. The facility disappears behind us as we bank east, leaving the dead to their domain. Inside the cargo bay, I finally get a good look at the survivor. Military uniform, tactical vest, rifle still in his hands. He sits across from me, breathing hard but controlled, eyes distant. Processing, coming down from 3 days of isolation and the sudden violence of extraction. "Adams," I say, extending my hand. He grips it. His hands are steady despite everything. "Thanks for the ride. What's your name?" He hesitates just for a second, like the question requires effort to answer. Then he looks at me directly, and something in his eyes, recognition maybe, or shared history, makes my chest tighten. "Lancaster," he says quietly. "You were there. First night of the outbreak." Not a question, a statement. I stare at him. The tattoo on his forearm, the way he moves, the precision of his shots. 10 years, and I'm looking at a ghost. "The hotel," I say. "The high school. You held the line." He nods slowly. Someone had to. The radio crackles with evacuation updates, containment teams calling out new breach points, but I barely hear it. I'm sitting across from a man I thought was dead, a man whose actions that first night bought time for hundreds to evacuate. The stories call him the sniper, the one who held position when everyone else ran, who made impossible shots in impossible circumstances, who disappeared after the sun came up and nobody knew if he survived. "They're still telling stories about you," I say. "Stories aren't reality," he replies. His voice is flat, empty of pride or satisfaction. "Reality is 3 days alone in the dark, rationing water, listening to those things shuffle around outside your door. Reality is knowing the research we needed is gone, destroyed by the same protocols meant to protect it." The helicopter banks again, and through the open cargo door, I see Harrisburg spreading below us. Smoke rises from multiple districts. The perimeter wall is breached in 4 places. I can see, maybe more on the far side. Military vehicles establish new containment lines miles outside the original zone. The city is being abandoned, written off, added to the list of places where humanity lost ground. "How many cities now?" the sniper asks. "Harrisburg's the 8th this year," I reply. "But we've reclaimed 12, built new settlements, established protocols. It's not just retreat anymore." "Until the next breach," he says. "Until the next breach." I agree.
He looks down at his rifle, checking the magazine out of habit. "You still carry something from Lancaster?" I pull the badge from my vest pocket, show him. "Lancaster PD, Officer Adams." Tarnished and worn, but still readable. "First night on the job," I say. "Thought I was gonna write traffic tickets and break up domestic disputes. Instead, I learned what it means when the world ends." He studies the badge, then looks at me with something that might be respect or just recognition of shared trauma. "We all learned something that night," he says. "Most people learn to run. Some of us learn to fight." The helicopter levels out, heading toward the temporary command post 20 meters east. Below, Harrisburg continues to burn. The infected own it now, at least for today. Maybe tomorrow we'll retake it. Maybe it'll join the permanent dead zones, places too costly to reclaim. The sniper leans back against the cargo bay wall, eyes closing, not sleeping, just resting, conserving energy the way soldiers do when they know the fight isn't over. Just paused. I look at Andrus and Duant. They're doing the same, eyes half closed, weapons held loosely, bodies in that state of controlled readiness that defines our existence now. Always prepared, never quite at rest. Outside, the sun rises higher, painting the smoke trails orange and gold. Another day in the 10th year after everything changed. Another city lost. Another survivor found. The badge in my pocket feels heavier than it should, a reminder of what I was before and what I became after. Officer Adams, rookie cop, first night on duty. And now, a decade later, still trying to save people in a world that keeps finding new ways to fall apart. But we're still here, still fighting, still finding reasons to keep going. Even when cities fall and research is lost and the infection continues to spread through our carefully rebuilt world, we're still here, and that has to count for something. The pilot doesn't wait for confirmation. The moment my weight settles in the cargo bay, the collective pitch increases and we lift. The skids leave ground. Below, infected cluster where we stood seconds ago. Heads tilting up to track our departure. Arms reaching toward empty air. More pour from buildings and structures. Hundreds of them now visible in the morning light. Drawn by the sound of rotors and the promise of prey that's already gone. The door gunner opens up. The mounted machine gun rattles. Brass casings ejecting in a golden stream, bouncing across the cargo bay floor with metallic pings. Tracers cut down into the mass below, stitching patterns through the infected. Bodies jerk and fall. Others stumble over them. The gunner sweeps left, then right, methodical and professional. Not trying to kill them all, just thinning the herd, buying separation. "Ceasefire," I call out. "Save ammunition. We're clear." The gun goes silent. The casings stop falling. The only sound now is the rotor wash and the turbine whine and the wind rushing through the open cargo doors. The gunner sits back checking his weapon, hands moving through the routine automatically. He's maybe 22, young, but his eyes are old. Everyone's eyes are old now. The helicopter banks east, nose dipping, gaining speed and altitude. The facility disappears behind us, swallowed by smoke and distance. I watch it go. That gray cube where we lost the research, where dozens died trying to evacuate, where protocols failed and people paid the price. Another failure to add to the list. Another reminder that 10 years later, we're still losing ground in places. Inside the cargo bay, I finally get a proper look at the survivor in better light. Military uniform, but not standard issue. Older pattern, faded from wear and washing. Tactical vest, customized with pouches and attachments that speak to field experience. Rifle held with the casual familiarity of someone who's carried one for years. His face is weathered, stubbled, eyes hollow from 3 days without real sleep. But underneath the exhaustion, there's something else. A hardness, the kind that comes from doing impossible things and surviving them. He catches me looking, doesn't flinch, just meets my eyes with that same steady gaze. Adams, I say, extending my hand over the cargo bay noise. He grips it. His hand is calloused, gripped firm despite the exhaustion. Appreciate the extraction. What's your name? I ask, though part of me already knows. The tattoo gave it away. The way he moves, the precision of every shot he took. He hesitates just for a second, like the question requires effort to answer, or maybe he's not used to people asking anymore. Then he looks at me directly, and something in his eyes.
Recognition or shared history or just the weight of 10 years makes the air in the cargo bay feel heavier. Lancaster, he says quietly, you were there first night. Not a question, a statement, like he's known since the moment we pulled him out of that observation room. Maybe he recognized my face, maybe something in how I moved. Maybe just instinct born from spending too long reading situations and people for survival. I stare at him. The pieces fall into place. The tattoo, the way he fights, the precision. 10 years. And I'm sitting across from a man whose name became legend in the early days. Stories passed between survivors in safe zones and checkpoints. The sniper. The one who held the Lancaster Hotel when everything collapsed. Who made impossible shots in impossible circumstances. Who bought time for evacuations nobody thought would matter. Who disappeared after sunrise and nobody knew if he survived. The hotel, I say. The high school. You held the line. He nods slowly.
No pride in it, no satisfaction, just acknowledgement of facts. Someone had to. The helicopter banks again, and through the open cargo door, I see Harrisburg spreading below us. Smoke rises from multiple districts, black columns reaching into gray sky. The perimeter wall, what's left of it, shows breach points like missing teeth. I count 4 major gaps, probably more on the far side. Military vehicles establish new containment lines miles outside the original zone. Tiny dots forming patterns of retreat and regroup. The city is being abandoned, written off, added to the list of places where humanity lost ground. Andrus and Dumont have taken positions near the doors, scanning the ground below out of habit more than necessity. We're high enough now that small arms fire can't reach us fast enough, that we're leaving the hot zone behind. But soldiers don't relax just because the immediate threat is past. We've all seen situations go bad after seeming safe. How many cities now? The sniper asks, still looking out at Harrisburg. 8 this year, I reply. But we've reclaimed 12. Built new settlements and cleared zones, established protocols that work when people follow them. It's not just retreat anymore, we're pushing back. Until the next breach, he says. Until the next breach, I agree. Harrisburg got complacent, let the screening protocol slip. One infected got through the checkpoints, hid the bite, turned inside the perimeter. That's all it takes, one. He looks down at his rifle, checking the magazine out of habit. Muscle memory. The kind of thing you do so many times it becomes automatic, meaningless, but you keep doing it because the one time you don't might be the time that kills you. You still carry something from Lancaster? He asks. I pull the badge from my vest pocket, show him. Lancaster PD, Officer Adams. The metal is tarnished, the enamel chipped, but the numbers are still readable. Badge 847. My badge from a life that ended 10 years ago. First night on the job, I say. Thought I was going to write traffic tickets and break up bar fights. Instead, I learned what happens when the world stops making sense. He studies the badge for a long moment. When he looks up, there's something in his eyes that might be respect or just recognition of shared trauma, of being there when it started, of knowing what it felt like before anyone understood what was happening. We all learned something that night, he says. Most people learned to run. Some of us learned we couldn't. The radio crackles with updates. Containment teams reporting new positions, evacuation counts, casualty estimates, the mathematics of collapse playing out in numbers and coordinates. Harrisburg's population was 43,000 before the breach. Current survivor count estimated at 8,000. The rest are dead, infected, or unaccounted for. The unaccounted usually become one of the first two categories eventually. Research data. The pilot calls back. Command wants to know if we secured anything. Negative, I reply. Servers destroyed, hard drive smashed. Researchers follow protocol, eliminate all data before evacuation. They just didn't make it out after. Copy that. Command's not gonna be happy. Command's never happy, I say. Tell them we got one survivor, military. He was site security for the study, might have intel on what they were researching. The sniper glances at me, doesn't confirm or deny, just watches, measuring, maybe wondering if I'm gonna push him for information, maybe calculating what he's willing to share versus what he needs to keep to himself. Everyone has secrets now. Everyone has things they've done or seen that they don't talk about. They were studying infection vectors, he says after a moment, trying to understand transmission rates, why some people turn faster than others, why the infection spreads so efficiently in enclosed spaces. They had theories, blood type correlations, genetic markers, but it was all preliminary, nothing conclusive, nothing that would help prevent another Harrisburg, nothing that survived the server destruction. I lean back against the cargo bay wall. The vibration of the helicopter travels through my spine. My legs ache from the sprint. My shoulders hurt from the tactical vest. My ears still ring from the grenade blast in the stairwell. The familiar sensations of another extraction, another mission, another day in the 10th year. Below, the landscape changes. Urban sprawl gives way to suburbs, then exurbs, then open country. Fields that used to be farmland, now overgrown and wild. Highways empty except for abandoned vehicles. Rusting monuments to the day when everyone tried to leave at once. Small towns that might be inhabited or might be dead zones, impossible to tell from altitude. What happens now? The sniper asks. Debrief at command, I say. Medical check, debriefing, statement on what happened at the facility. Then reassignment. Reassignment where? Wherever they need experienced operators. Could be containment, could be another extraction, could be training new recruits who think they know what they're signing up for. I pause. You'll have options. Your record from Lancaster, if you're who I think you are, that carries weight. Specialized teams would take you. Sniper units, recon. You could write your own ticket. He doesn't respond immediately, just stares out at the passing landscape, rifle across his lap, hands resting on the weapon with unconscious familiarity. A man who's carried that weight so long, it's become part of him. I held that hotel for 8 hours, he says quietly. 9th floor, corner room, good sight lines. Watched the streets fill up with them. Watched people run. Watched people fall. Made shots I shouldn't have been able to make. Distance, wind, moving targets, low light. Made them anyway, because if I didn't, people died. He pauses. When he continues, his voice is even quieter, almost lost under the rotor noise. When the sun came up, I counted 63 confirmed kills from that window. 60 things that used to be people. And I looked at my hands, and they weren't shaking. They should have been shaking, but they were steady. Like I'd been doing this my whole life, instead of figuring it out in one night. I don't interrupt. Some stories need to be told. Some weights need to be shared. After that, I kept moving. Stayed ahead of the infection spread. Helped where I could. Made shots when it mattered. Disappeared when it didn't. 10 years of that. 10 years of being the man in the window. The one who makes the impossible shot. The one people tell stories about. He looks at me. You know what? That makes you what? Alone. Because you're the one who doesn't miss. The one who always makes the shot. So people count on you, and you can't let them down. Can't miss. Can't fail, because if you do, people die. He shifts, adjusting his grip on the rifle. 3 days in that observation room. I thought about missing, about just not taking the shot, about letting go. But you didn't. But I didn't, he agrees. Because you showed up. Because someone always shows up eventually if you hold long enough. Andreas catches my eye from his position by the door, raises an eyebrow,
asking without words if this is okay, if the survivor is stable, if we need to intervene. I give him a small shake of my head. The sniper is processing, working through 3 days of isolation and whatever demons he's been carrying for 10 years. Let him talk. Let him work it out. The helicopter begins to descend through the cargo door. I see the temporary command post spreading below us. Tents, vehicles, supply containers arranged in organized chaos. Helicopter landing pad marked with orange panels. Medical tents with red crosses. Command center with radio antennas bristling like metal grass. The infrastructure of containment and control, mobile and temporary but functional. Welcome back to civilization, Dumont says, his first word since we boarded. Such as it is, the landing is smooth, professional. The pilot brings us down gently, skids touching concrete with barely a jolt. The turbine pitch changes, the rotor slow. The mission is officially over. Medical personnel approach the helicopter before the blade stops spinning. Standard protocol. Anyone coming out of a hot zone gets immediate screening. Check for bites, scratches, exposure to infected fluids. Protocol exists because people hide injuries, because people lie, because one infected making it into a safe zone can collapse everything. Everyone out, the medic calls, screening first, debrief after. We climb out. My legs protest the movement. The ground feels strange after the vibration of the helicopter. Solid, still wrong. Somehow, after an hour of motion and noise, the medics move us to a processing area. White tent, examination tables, bright lights. One by one, they check us. Visual examination first. Strip to basics. Turn. Arms up. Any pain, any injuries, any bites. I've done this dozens of times. The routine is familiar, impersonal, necessary. The medic checking me is thorough, professional. She finds bruises from where infected grabbed at me, scratches from climbing through tight spaces, normal wear from a hot extraction. Nothing that indicates infection. She marks my chart with green, clear. Andres and Dant both get green marks. The sniper takes longer. 3 days in isolation means more careful screening. Dehydration check, nutrition status, psychological evaluation. They're gentle but firm. Finally, he gets his green mark too. Clear across the board, the lead medic reports. Send them to debriefing. Debriefing is another tent, darker, quieter, officers sitting behind tables with tablets and recording equipment. They want details, timeline, contacts, casualties. What we found, what we lost, why the mission parameters changed. I give them the facts, stripped of emotion. Landed at 620 hours, proceeded to facility, encountered resistance, found one survivor, extracted under fire, research data destroyed before we arrived. They're disappointed about the research. I can see it in their faces. That data represented months of work, possible breakthroughs in understanding the infection. Now it's gone. Smashed servers and burned papers, and one exhausted soldier who can't tell them anything they don't already know. The survivor, the officer asks, what's his status? Stable, experienced, combat effective. I pause. He was at Lancaster first night. The hotel operation. The officer's expression changes. Recognition. The sniper. We thought he was dead or disappeared. Reports were inconclusive. He's been operating independently for 10 years. Site security at Harrisburg. Held position during the breach until we extracted him.
We'll want to debrief him separately. His experience could be valuable for training protocols. The officer makes notes on his tablet. You're dismissed, Adams. Good work getting him out. Even if we lost the research, experienced operators are worth their weight in ammunition. I stand, salute, leave the tent. Outside, the sun has climbed higher. It's fully morning now. The gray pre-dawn light replaced by actual daylight. The command post is busy. Soldiers moving between tents, vehicles coming and going, helicopters taking off and landing, the machinery of response and containment. We've gotten good at this over 10 years. Efficient, professional.
But it never stops feeling like we're one step behind, always reacting, never quite ahead of it. I find the others near the equipment tent. Andres and Dong are cleaning their weapons, breaking them down for maintenance, the ritual after every mission. The sniper sits nearby, rifle already clean and reassembled. Just watching the activity around the command post. They want to talk to you, I tell them, about Lancaster, about what you've been doing for 10 years. I figured, he says, always the way. You do something once, it defines you forever. The sniper, the man from the hotel, like that's all I am. Is it? I ask. He considers the question, looks down at his rifle, at the tattoo on his forearm, at his hands weathered and scarred from a decade of survival. I don't know what else I'd be, he admits. This is what I'm good at, making shots, holding positions, buying time. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all anyone can be now. Good at one thing that keeps people alive. I sit down beside him, pull out the badge again. Lancaster PD, Officer Adams, badge 847. I thought I'd be a cop, I say. Thought I'd have a career, retirement, maybe make detective someday. Instead, I became this extraction specialist, breach response, professional survivor. I turned the badge over in my fingers. Sometimes I wonder what Officer Adams would think of what I've become. If he'd recognize himself, he'd probably be surprised he's still alive. The sniper says, "That's something. That's something. I agree." We sit in silence for a moment. Two men who were there when it started, who somehow survived when so many didn't, who became something else in the process of staying alive. The machinery of the command post continues around us. Soldiers doing their jobs, helicopters flinging teams and supplies, the endless work of holding the line against an enemy that never sleeps and never stops. They're going to want to use you, I say finally, your skills, your experience. They'll put you in situations where those skills matter, where making impossible shots is the difference between mission success and mission failure. I know. And you'll do it because that's who you are now, the man who doesn't miss. I know that too. But you're allowed to miss sometimes. I say you're allowed to be human, to make mistakes, to need help. That's what teams are for. That's why we extract people instead of letting them hold positions alone until they break. He looks at me. Really looks like he's seeing me for the first time instead of just another operator. You learned that in the last 10 years? He asks. I learned it the hard way, I reply, watching good people die because they thought they had to do everything alone, because they thought asking for help was weakness, because they were so busy being whatever they thought they needed to be, they forgot to be human. And you think I need to hear that? I think you spent 3 days alone in the dark, rationing water, listening to those things outside your door. I think you've spent 10 years being the sniper, living up to a reputation, making shots that keep people alive while you stay in the shadows. I think maybe you're tired, and that's okay. Being tired is human. He's quiet for a long time, or long. When he speaks again, his voice is rough. 8 hours in that hotel window. I didn't think past the next shot, the next target, the next person running down the street who needed cover. Didn't think about after. Didn't think I'd survive to see after. And then the sun came up, and I was still there. And everyone expected me to keep being that person, the one who made those shots, the hero from the hotel. You don't have to be a hero, I say. You just have to be a soldier, part of a team. Someone who shows up and does the work alongside everyone else. I don't know if I remember how to be part of a team. Then you learn, same way you learned everything else, one day at a time, one mission at a time. An officer approaches, young, maybe 25. She salutes. "Sir, command wants the Lancaster survivor for debriefing." The sniper stands, shoulders his rifle, looks at me one last time. "Thanks for the extraction, Adams, and for the talk." "Anytime," I say. "We're probably going to be working together." Then you learn, same way you learned everything else, one day at a time, one mission at a time. An officer approaches, young, maybe 25. She salutes. "Sir, Command wants the Lancaster survivor for debriefing. The sniper stands, shoulders his rifle, looks at me one last time. Thanks for the extraction, Adams, and for the talk. Anytime, I say. We're probably going to be working together.
Experienced operators don't get to retire. They just get reassigned. Looking forward to it, he says, and I think he means it. He follows the officer toward the command tent. I watch him go. One more survivor, one more soldier, one more person trying to find their place in a world that keeps shifting under our feet. Andrea sits down beside me, rifle cleaning kit in hand. Think he'll be okay? He asks. I think he's been not okay for 10 years, and he's still standing, I reply. That counts for something. You tell Command about how he was talking, the stuff about wanting to let go. No, he was processing, working through it. He's stable. I pause. And if he's not, we'll be there. That's what teams do. Dumont joins us, hands me a bottle of water. I drink. The water is cold, clean, tastes like chemicals from purification, but better than anything we found in Harrisburg. Basic things become luxuries. Clean water, hot food, a place to sleep where nothing is trying to kill you. You learn to appreciate them. Next assignment? Dumont asks. Don't know yet. Command will tell us when they're ready. I shrug. Whatever they need. Same as always, Andre says. The sun climbs higher. Somewhere in one of those tents. The sniper is telling his story to officers who will turn it into training materials and after-action reports. I look at Harrisburg in the distance, smoke still rising. The city lost but not forgotten. 8th this year, but we reclaimed 12. Progress measured in cleared zones and rebuilt settlements. The sniper emerged from the command tent an hour later, rifle slung across his back, face less haunted. They assigned me to your team, he says. Seems Command thinks experienced operators should stick together. Welcome aboard, I say. He sits down with us, accepts water from Dumont. The silence is comfortable now. The word zombie feels distant, clinical, what people called them in the beginning when movie references were all we had to understand, the impossible. Now they're just infected threats to be cleared and contained. But late at night, I remember what they were. People with lives and futures who became something else. That's the weight we carry. Knowing every trigger pull ends something that was human once. We do it anyway because the alternative is worse. Harrisburg is lost today. Tomorrow we'll be back. Clearing, containing, reclaiming. That's the work. The badge in my pocket feels lighter, or maybe I've just gotten used to carrying it. Either way, it's still there, reminding me of who I was and why it matters to keep going. 10 years since Lancaster. We haven't won yet, but we haven't lost either. And as long as people like us keep showing up, keep fighting, humanity will never disappear.